Hey everybody, how you doing today? So this video has been a long time coming. I've wanted to do it for a while, but I wanted to give you the groundwork that I've covered in the previous videos. What we're talking about today is how do we price our services? How do we come up with a cost for that customer that wants to know how much is carpet cleaning going to cost them? How much is it per room? How much is it per square foot? What do you guys charge for this service or that service? So what I don't want you guys to do, and if you've watched any of the previous videos, you know I don't want you calling around asking your competitors what they're charging. It doesn't matter what they're charging, because what they're charging doesn't have any bearing on what you need to charge in your business to make a profit. So you know I'm all about profit. You know I'm all about making sure that our finances are correct and straight, and we want to know that we're making money on every job and we're profitable on every job. And you can't do that if you don't know how to price yourselves correctly. So what does it mean to price yourself correctly? Don't we just throw out a price and that's what it is? Yeah, you can do that. You can get into this business and say, well, I look around and everybody's about this price and that's what I'm going to be, that price. And the problem that you run into is, well, what if you're competing with the guy that has 5 trucks and he can undercut you because, well, he's happy making maybe $15,000 per truck, and he's got 5 trucks, and he just wants to make $60,000 or $75,000 a year, and he's comfortable with that. And you come in with 1 truck, and you've got to make a certain amount on that truck to be able to pay your bills. He's going to be able to undercut you because you're going to have to make all of your money off of that single truck, where he's got 5. So his 5 trucks don't need to make what your 1 truck needs to make. So when you're calling around and asking these companies and you don't know their numbers and you don't know their profit margins and you don't know what they're happy making and you don't know what anything about that company and anything about what they make and how they price their services, you're just flying blind. You're just, at that point, you might as well just throw a dart at the dartboard. Whatever number it hits, that's your price. And yeah, that's extreme, but it's extreme to call around and set your prices by what other people are charging. Does it have a bearing on what you can charge or what the market will bear? Sure, it does. But your numbers are really what matter. What you have to charge is really what matters. Because if you set your prices at a certain level and you go out and you do the job and you think you're making money because you brought home a check, but you come to realize later, well, that job didn't produce enough to pay me and pay for the business bills. At that point, yeah, I made $100 on that, and okay, I just take $100, I put it in my bank account, and boom, I've made money. But then you realize later on, well, I have a Google ad running, and that takes a certain percentage away. And I hired a helper, and he takes a certain percentage away. And my chemicals, I got to buy a bucket of pre-spray now, so that takes a bit out. So now your $100 is now $5 that you actually made on the job because everything ate it up, and you didn't account for all the expenses that are going to come up or that may come up. We all know, we all been there where a machine breaks down, or you're driving along and you have a tire blowout, or something goes wrong with the van and something breaks down, and who knows, anything can happen at any particular time. And if we're not prepared and have some money in an account for that, then that becomes a problem. Because we've made $100 on every job and we thought we were making money, but it all went out immediately at the end of the month where we have 0 left. Then what happens when that breakdown occurs? What happens when something goes wrong? What happens when you fall and break your leg and don't have any money saved up to bring you through those weeks that you're going to be down? So what I want to do is give you kind of a very, very simplistic way to evaluate your numbers and then figure out, what do I have to charge to make money in the business, to actually turn a profit, not to just put money in my wallet at the end of the day, but actually make the business profitable so that you have the ability and the money to weather the storm when the storm comes, because we all know there's a storm coming. We just don't know when it's coming and how big it's going to be. So I want you guys to be again, not broke carpet cleaners. We want to be business owners that run our business well. So what's the first step in figuring out what I need to charge, not And it's not calling around to your neighbors to figure out what they're charging. What you need to evaluate is what your costs are. How much is the cost of the product you're selling? And we think of that in retail as, okay, I bought this product, I'm going to sell it. But you also have a product, and your product costs something to produce. You spent a certain amount on your chemical. You spent a certain amount on gas on the job. You spent a certain amount of labor to do it. You spent a certain amount of consumables that you brought onto the job site, whether it's sealer that you're putting down on a tile job, or just pre-spray, or Scotchgard. Any of those things, that's all part of your cost of goods sold, or what we refer to as the COGS, C-O-G-S, cost of goods sold. So step one is to figure out what is your cost of goods sold. What does it cost you to do any particular service that you do, whether it's carpet or tile or furniture, whatever that is, you need to figure out your costs. So what you do to do that is you figure out how much fuel did I burn on the job. So if you're running a truck mount, how much fuel do I burn per hour? I would always break it down per hour. So how much fuel did I burn in that 1 hour running my truck mount? If you're running a portable, you don't have that cost. So on a portable, you're just your chemicals and your time, basically. You're going to have a little bit of fuel to get to the job, depending on where that is. And if you have a travel distance, you want to incorporate that in your fuel cost. So do you have any consumables other than chemical and time? If you have pads that you're using for that are disposable, that scrubbing pads that you're using on a commercial job to do an in-cap job, those are consumables. You're going to have to pay for those every time they wear out. So figure out all those costs, lump them all up into one. Now, one thing to say about labor when you're calculating that labor for your cost of goods sold. What I don't want you to do is to say, well, I want to make $75 an hour. That's not an accurate way of giving a cost of goods sold. What you want to do is take the normal wage that most people are getting paid nationwide. And you can just find this out. CleanFacts magazine is online. You can find out what the averages are in their benchmark survey that they do every year. So just look that up on CleanFacts magazine. You can pull up their benchmark survey for whatever year, for the most recent year, and find out what wages are for where you live. And that's just a rough guideline. It may be a little bit different where you're at, but you can kind of figure out a rough guideline. And what you want to do is calculate. So if it's $20 an hour is the average, then you want to calculate labor per hour at $20 per man. So if you're going to plan on running a two-man crew at any time in the future, start charging this now. So your labor would be $20 per man, and then you're going to have to add a little bit for workers' comp. So unless you're going to pay them a percentage, but either way, you want to figure out your labor cost per hour. Okay, that's going to be your hardest number to figure out. How much am I going to pay for labor? Am I going to run a two-man or a one-man crew? Those are all things you have to figure out. So once you know that, then plug that number in. So I'll say, okay, labor is $40 for a two-man crew, and then the workers' comp is incorporated in that. So $40, and then how much do I spend on fuel? Okay, there's a few dollars for fuel. How much do I spend on chemical? A few dollars for chemical or whatever consumable. So say you come up with a number like, okay, it's my cost of goods sold is $50 per hour. Okay, now that tells you this is what I am going to be paying per hour. This is what I don't make any money until I make more than that $50. And every dollar I make more than the $50, that is going to contribute to getting to profit margin. Now, if you're thinking about this, you're going to know right away, well, those are just the cost of doing the job. It has no bearing on the cost for running the business. That is correct. So the $50 is just your cost of goods sold. Now, to set your prices, you need to do something a little bit different. So to set your prices, knowing the cost of goods sold is $50, now we need to know, okay, how much, in addition to that, do I need to add to make sure I'm profitable? And what you have to do is, okay, now I need to know my business cost. What do I pay for internet? What do I pay for my phone? What do I pay for computer stuff? What do I pay for printer paper? What do I pay for absolutely everything in the business, all your insurance, all of everything else to run the business. So everything besides labor and fuel and chemical. Everything else is the rest. So it's going to be a big bundle over here. So you need to figure out those numbers as well. Okay, now once you know those numbers, now we have a weapon in our hands that we can actually calculate and know for a fact how much do I need to charge to make money. So at first we say, oh, $100 is great, but we realize, oh, well, $50 of that 100 is gone. So we know right away, well, $50 of that 100 is gone. And we realized that later on, also another 50 was also gone in business expense. So now, did I make any money? No, you didn't make any money charging the $100. So right away, if your minimum's $100 and you realize I'm going to be there an hour and my minimum's $100, and now you know, well, crap, I'm not making any money because the 50 is my cost of goods sold and the other business expenses took the other 50 away. So now I made zero on that job. So that's why we don't call someone else and realize, oh, what's your minimum charge? Oh, it's $100. And then you charge $100 just because they charge $100. And then you get 6 months down the road and you're not making any money. And you're barely paying your bills and you can't afford the storm that's coming. So now, what is my recommendation? Well, yeah, at the very bare minimum, this is not my recommendation. You have to at least double your cost of goods sold to get anywhere near making any money. But at 50% cost of goods sold, you're probably not going to make much money, if any. You need to get down to as low as you possibly can. My recommendation is get as low as you possibly can on your cost of goods sold. I try to run at a 30 to 35% cost of goods sold. So if I'm 30%, so my $50, I have to make $150 to be at 30%. Okay, so I know my minimum has to be $150. Because if my minimum is a base job and it takes me about an hour to do, I have to have $150 coming away from that job to make my 30% cost of goods sold to give me a profit at the end of the day. So knowing your numbers is absolutely crucial, and then setting your prices according to those numbers is how we run a business effectively. You cannot run a business not knowing your numbers and just setting your prices randomly by what everybody else is doing. So know your cost of goods sold, know your expenses, and then figure out, okay, I know my cost of goods sold, I know my expenses. Now, how much in addition do I want to make? All right, and you got to figure out a little bit for taxes as well. So there's a lot of numbers here. You can't just say, okay, this is my expenses, so this is what I should make. I need to be at 40% cost of goods sold, and this is my expenses. That should be good. But then you didn't factor in, taxes. So now I need to take this percentage away from what I thought I was making in taxes. So now that you've got that, so okay, now what? I took the taxes, now what do I? Well, you simply raise your prices or lower your cost of goods sold. The only way you can make more money in business is to do one of two things or both. So you have to either lower your cost of goods sold, lower your expenses, lower your overall expenses in your business, or raise your prices. So you either have to make more per job, and this isn't selling more services per job that can help, but you have to literally raise your price of those services. Because if your services are priced at a certain level, just selling more of them is just, it's just a wash. But if you charge more for that service, if you decide, okay, I'm going to charge 10% more per job, per service across the board. So 10% more carpet cleaning, 10% more on tile, 10% more on furniture. Everything I'm charging is 10% more. You've effectively increased your profit margin for the business by 10%. Don't be afraid of doing that, because you can lose jobs because you raised your prices. Yeah, you can lose jobs, but it's okay to lose the jobs because now you're making a significant more profit margin in your business. Your profit margin has gone up. So your expenses didn't change. Think about it this way. Your expenses didn't change. They stayed the same. Your fuel, your labor, all that stayed the same. And all you did was increase your price by 10%. Effectively doing that, what that does is it raises only your profit margin 10%. So say you want to take home 10% more money in your pocket at the end of the day. All you have to do is raise that price 10%, and you've done it. You don't have to work any harder. In fact, you will work less, because if someone leaves, you still have that 10%. You can lose a certain percentage of people doing that, because you're going to make the same amount of money servicing less people. So it's more money in your pocket, servicing less people. It's a win-win. You don't have to freak out about it. Just go raise your price 10%, and you'll have a better profit margin. And if you look in the last video I did on capturing profit, it will teach you how to ensure that you're making profit per job and capturing it. Not just, okay, I made it, what do I do with it? But it tells you what to do with it after you've made it. So look at that video as well. Make sure you guys understand how to capture this profit. Because this formula, if you can get down to 30 or 35% cost of goods sold, and you're servicing those same people, and your prices are set correctly, this is a game changer for your business. This isn't something that's just, oh yeah, I should do that. If you're not doing this, your business is going to struggle for many years. If you don't believe me, talk to somebody that runs a large company that runs multiple trucks, and you ask them if they know their numbers to set their prices, or if they set their prices by what everybody else is charging. And I guarantee you, they're going to say, no, I've got to know my numbers. If I don't know my numbers on 5 or 6 or 10 trucks or 20 trucks or 100 trucks, I'm going to be ineffective at setting prices if I don't know those numbers. So being you guys that own these small companies, make sure you're starting this now, that you're effective in your pricing now. So when you are adding trucks later, and when you do have 5 trucks, you're not wondering where that money has gone, and I don't understand how this all works. Learn it now. Learn it when you're small. Learn it when you're 1 or 2 trucks, so that when you're 10 trucks, man, you can take over the world when you're 10 trucks at that. And you know what you're doing, and you know how to price. It's an absolute game changer. So that is it. I mean, get out there, dig into your numbers. If you have questions, put them in the comment sections. I'm happy to answer. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to consult. Make sure you review us on iTunes if you're listening to the podcast. Give me some feedback in the comments on YouTube, and let's change the world of carpet cleaning. I want to get rid of broke carpet cleaners. If you're interested in working with me, it's carpetcleanertraining.com. I'm happy to consult with you anytime. Just set an appointment. All right, so that's it. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you in the next video.